guys, Paula here. Welcome back to my kitchen and welcome back to my channel, The Flavorful Home. What are we doing? Today we are canning a variety of beans. My pantry shelves were running low to running out and I wanted to get restocked. So we're going to walk through a canning process so you can see my routine and what I do. And if you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoy this little video to show how I can my beans. Come on. First things first, my jars are all washed in hot soapy water, and the washing gives me an opportunity to check for any cracks or weakness, so I'm able to get rid of any jars or lids that don't meet the perfect requirement. Then I go to clean my sink. I give it a good scrubbing with my brush all the way around. And rinse. Next up, I give my counters a wiping with my cloth. Then I go over it with my Clorox wipe. And I allow the Clorox wipe to dry, disinfecting this area. Next up, it's time to give my canner a rinsing. It's been a while since I've pressure canned. I always check my venting pipe. I make sure there's nothing clogging it and I could see through it perfectly. I check. This is my lock. Some people have experienced this, and I did too, getting loose, and the screeching that comes out of this being loose is horrific, to put it mildly. So I make sure it's tight, and then I give it a soapy bath. Obviously, you want everything clean. That's the whole ball game here. Clean, clean, and clean. I also check my rubber stopper, which is fine. I wash my gasket. And check it, and it is in excellent condition. When it's loose or you see wear, it's time to get a replacement. You should actually have a replacement in your arsenal already. Next up, I wash the canner itself and I wash my racks. I am probably going to be doing a double load of beans. So I have my second rack here too. Get put into a sink with hot water, but I also add hot water from my tea kettle. I do this because I'm hot packing beans. You don't want a shock to the jars. You want it nice and hot so there's no breaking. And then we'll get ready to start. Next up, we grab our jars, and for the record, all modern canning guidelines now say you don't need to sterilize your lids if you're canning for over 10 minutes, be it water. I don't know of any pressure canning recipe for less than 10 minutes, which we are. And so I just put it in hot water just to get the gasket loose. These are ball lids, so they don't need it. I know some others do require the boiling. Another thing I do that isn't necessary, I drain the bean water. It's cloudy and yucky. And I use fresh hot water in my beans. You don't need to do that. I like to do that. I'm doing pint. The recipe or directions calls for a half a teaspoon in each jar, and I'm doing kidney beans right now, and it goes, and you're doing 1-inch headspace. Beans are expanders. I go a little less than 1 inch because I don't like to mess up the headspace. And then I'm going to add my water. I'm not going to have much kidney beans. I just did a small batch. Like I said, I'm doing a variety today of kidney, pinto, and black. Now we'll come in with the liquid. Oh, it's so much better when you dump and get a fresh liquid. It's clear, you can see it better. The other liquid is so cloudy and yucky looking. All right. And then you're going to debubble. And debubble is very important. This is your debubbler. If you don't have a debubbler, a chopstick or a plastic knife is a-okay. You don't want to use metal because you could damage the glass. I could hear my drain, for whatever reason, is not holding the water. Sometimes it's got to annoy me. Okay, we could use more, so I'm just going to grab a little bit more beans. Just a little, just a little. This one I'd rather put water than beans because it's just about at the 1 inch. Good, good, good. All right, we'll debubble one more time. And it looks good. My measurer, and yep, it's lovely. Now my favorite tool, I've shared it before, my vinegar pump, and just give a good wipe, squeaky clean, around and around. Now we'll okay, one other thing I want to show you, because now I'm up to my pinto beans. And this recipe is a safe recipe. Carol from Carol Thrifty Chic Housewife is an absolute by-the-book canner. And I'm going to link her channel. If you have any concerns as far as canning goes, she's your gal. This is her channel's share. I'm doing pints. She did, I think it was 1.5 pints, so her seasonings were more. But the salt, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder in each jar. She used ancho chili, but I don't have ancho. But it's a 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. And this is all just if you'd like to. You do not have to. And a 1/2 of cumin. And I put it in the bottom because it's better to have it in there before you add your beans. And then you put your, let's start at this end. And remember, like I said, you don't want to go right to the 1 inch because beans expand big time. I go, I'll put this in again. Here's the 1 inch, which also your jaws will tell you. 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. I go right to here. It says 300. That's where I might add a little more, but I feel comfortable at that level with beans because they are gonna come up. They always do. And also, once again, I drained my water and I'm filling with hot, clear, clean water. I just like it so much better than putting muddied water that the beans cooked in. No thank you. And to the 1 inch. There we go. And then we're gonna go around town with the debubbler. Oftentimes after you debubble, you need to readjust your levels. Double decker. I think there's 5 on the bottom and the 3 on the top, but don't quote me on that because I have no memory. You're going to put your top on, and I'm going to show you something else in a second, and it seals. It gets in there nice. You know, you have a good, it's not easy to just turn. I pump my gas up, and you're going to want to see, pull you down and straighten you up. This will start shooting steam. You're going to vent for 10 minutes because you're building the pressure. While I do have a dial gauge, right now it's just there for looks. I use a weighted gauge or jiggler. It's so much easier because of my altitude. I need 15 pounds of pressure, so all 3 are on there. If I was going by my dial, it would be 11, but I don't need to worry about that. So we'll get this venting and we'll come back and show you. It's a little tough to see, but the steam is coming out, and so now you vent for 10 minutes. And then when that 10 minutes is up, that's when you put your weighted jiggler on. I want to share with you my pressure canner, the Presto. This is the 23-quart pressure canner and cooker. This one is not induction compatible. They do make one that is, because I know some people have those glass top induction ranges. This doesn't have that. It's a 15-pound weight, and it would go where the jiggler is, but because I no longer use my dial gauge, I no longer use this. Why do I like it? Because it is huge. I have the double rack, they say double decker, and I can get 26 half pints, 20 pints, and 7 quarts in it. That glare is killer. That's what's so awesome about it. It holds a lot. I love it. It's not going to hurt your pocketbook if you invest in the Presto. And I have no complaints. They make smaller ones. She does the job, and that's what I like about it. Alrighty, we'll come back when my jiggler's doing the hula. Guess what, guys? She's starting to do the hula. And as you can see, it's just a hair over 15. But you know what's pretty cool? And there she's really rocking now. This canner my husband bought for me in February of 21. We know everything went a little cuckoo then, and my extension office was no longer adjusting weights. But as you can see by my jiggling, my dial gauge is still pretty much on the money. And this is what you want to see it doing. You want it to dance just like that. Like I said, for my area, it's 75 minutes at 15 pounds of pressure. Above 1,000 feet, it's 15 pounds. And I'm going to just show you this because I've shown it before. I'll show it again. If you look at my, I don't know if you could see it, but that's the sweet spot for my flame. That's my flame. And I marked the stove so that, whoops, you're seeing the reflection. I marked my stove so that I know that's where I can put it and not walk away. I don't leave the kitchen, but my jiggler does the hula at that setting. Now, just a tip, if something happens for some reason and maybe your gas blows out and it drops below your correct pounds of pressure, you do need to start from scratch. You got to start all over from the beginning. So keep an eye on it. Alrighty, we'll come back when it's time to go through the shutdown process. We are done. 75 minutes is finished. You shut it off and you let it come off of pressure all by itself. Don't touch it. Don't take the jiggler off. Just let it come down on its own. And that'll probably take 25 minutes or so. So we'll come back when it's at 0. You take the jiggler off and you just let it sit for another 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you take the cover off. Away from you. Right. And we pull the cans out or jar. Looks beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Hey guys, it's the next morning and I just wanted to share with you what I do with my jars after they've been sitting for a minimum of 12 hours. These have been almost 18 hours. My black beans came out of the canner at just about 11 o'clock last night, so they're not ready yet. And I'm going to say this. I had one seal fail on the kidney, popped it in the fridge. And I knew I was going to have one black bean fail to seal. And sure enough, this morning it did. So that is in the fridge. And I will put them in the freezer. I don't like having seals fail. I'm doing this for 2.5 years, And that makes for a total of 5 failures. 3 were with beans, 2 were with jams. So that agitates me because it is a lot of work. And it's all been with ball lids. So you take your bands off and do not be afraid. You want to lift your jars and give a shake to make sure that seal is there. Don't be gentle with them. You want to make sure your seal is in. I'll show you something else. This, sometimes you get a little black. That's not going to hurt. You wash them. It's when they get all rusty and corroded that you should flip them. And let me tell you, I have a bunch in my basement. I have tons of lids. And they did siphon a bit, but nothing to be concerned about. You can see it's right, the liquid's right at the 1-inch headspace. Beans expand. This one is a little under. It's okay. They're still underwater. It's when they are, if you lose more than 50% of your liquid, that you need to worry. Nice and sealed. Nice and sealed. Sealed. What I will do is, because this one sucked up a lot of the liquid and is a little bit below, this one will get used first. This one just barely below. So I push the ones that have under the correct headspace to the front and use them first. I did sweet potatoes once, and it was in the quart size jar. It probably came down to here, and they were just fine. It's 50%, more than 50% of your liquid. See that? Nice and sealed. Nice and sealed. Okay, now we'll give them a tubby. Hot water, a little bit too hot. And soap it up and give it a good scrub. I also always put a little glug of vinegar in my canner so that I don't get those white lines on my jars, so they look beautiful. It's a little hot. And I just put them on my towel to finish drying. But you want to get a good scrub around the lid. So that any debris is off. And these really look beautiful. I hope you enjoyed that canning session. If you're new, I hope you subscribe. Don't be afraid to try it. Check the description box for any important links. Until next time, go create something wonderful. Bye-bye.